I reckon they're greedy.
In what way do you mean greedy?
Because they're ruining billions of kids' education because they're winning a gold crush.
Well, that isn't evidence of greed.
That is?
No, that is evidence of, if you like, irresponsibility, but it isn't evidence of greed.
It is.
Why?
Because they want more money.
Ah, that is evidence of greed.
Wanting more.
No, you didn't say that, though. What you're talking about, I only know what you're talking about when your mouth tells me. You see, if your mouth doesn't bother to tell me, I have little difficulty in contacting your brain. Not as much difficulty as you appear to have, but some nonetheless. So you think the teachers are greedy for wanting to re-establish their position on the, should we say, the hierarchy of salary?
Yeah.
Why is it greedy to want to get back where you were?
It's not. I'm not saying that.
Well, that is what they're trying to do.
They're not. They're trying to get more money.
Yes, they are, and the reason they want more money is to bring them back to the position they were in 5 years ago.
Oh.
So now you think they're not greedy?
Oh, yeah, I still think they're greedy, yeah.
I see. But a few moments ago you said they wouldn't be greedy if all they were doing was correcting the imbalance that had been created.
Oh, well, sorry about that.
Don't be sorry, be quiet. How do... Andrew.
Hello?
Yes?
I'd like to talk about the insurance company, if I may.
Well, don't name the company, but progress.
Right. Well, first of all, and I'll tell you a story that happened to me a few years ago.
Providing you're not going to take all night, because Jack and Nora is on a little earlier than this programme,
yeah.
so keep it brief.
Well, in 1984, I had a crash on a motorbike. And then, since then, it's nearly been 3 years.
You're not keeping it brief. What was your claim for?
Well, I'm just wondering...
What was your claim for? You presumably made an insurance claim. What did you claim for?
I was claiming for personal injuries, which resulted in a hospital stay of over...
You were claiming for personal injuries. That's all I need to know. What is the problem now?
Well, all I'm trying to say is that, don't you think that with the actual legal system now, that 3 years seems quite a long time for somebody to claim for it?
It can be a long time. It does appear to be a long time, but if your injuries have not settled, in other words, if it is still possible that you will be, should we say, described as permanently injured, then that will equate to one settlement. If you're only temporarily injured and get better in 5 years' time, then that will equate to another compensation level, and if your injuries are such that they didn't really matter at all, that'll equate to another one, and it takes time to make that discovery.
Well, then part of my injury resulted in me being in a coma for 1 week.
Fine.
And then with that, there's various implications and problems. See,
yes, there are, but the problem is that the medical profession are not yet in a position to be able to say, right, you've been in a coma a week, that means you will suffer this condition for this long. The insurance company have to wait till they find out what has been wrong with you, what is going to continue to be wrong with you, before they compensate you.
Well, what I can say is that from the accident, I lost my job, and I found out who my actual friends were.
Well, the insurance company doesn't help or hinder in the establishment of who your friends are, or indeed are not. How do Elsie...
Hello, Alan. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate you English people on your terrific sense of humour.
Thank you for that. How do Gary?
Hello, Alan.
Yes?
I'd like to talk about the sport of cycling, if I may.
You may.
I think cycling is one of the hardest sports in the world.
Why is it hard?
Well,
explain what you mean.
People say that skiing is hard because...
No, tell me why cycling is hard. Don't compare it with anything else. Just tell me what's hard about it. You've only got to ride a bike for crying out loud.
You know, if you're in a race, you need energy, and you need to keep up that energy throughout the race, and you use...
If you mean it's hard to win, I agree, because there can only ever be one winner. Dear me.
The 11 o'clock news, this is Alan King. The government is already facing opposition from its own backbenchers over plans to replace rates with a community charge. Only hours after the proposal was unveiled in the Queen's speech, many Tory MPs have strongly criticised the new tax. MP Robin Squire says the charge, based on the electoral roll, would prove difficult to collect because people frequently move home.
It is my belief that it becomes an absolute nightmare to track down. And of course, even when you have tracked down, you think successfully, to try and administer and levy and recover that money, I have to say, will be a separate, further degree of nightmare.
A 15-year-old boy is being questioned by Portsmouth police in connection with the rape of a 5-year-old girl and a series of indecent assaults in the city. The attacks have happened in the Buckland area over the past few weeks. Senior Labour MPs are saying that Dennis Healey's decision to stand down from the shadow cabinet will be a great loss to the party. Mr Healey, who'll be 70 in August, says he's not putting himself forward for Labour's new frontbench team, but he'll carry on campaigning for the party both inside and out of Parliament. Deputy Labour leader Roy Hattersley says they'll miss his wealth of experience.
The Labour Party will be worse for not having him on the front bench, and politics will be a lot worse for not having him in a very senior position. I hope he's going to go on making his mark from the backbenchers, but it won't be quite the same as having him in the inner councils and the senior councils.
Former fugitive John Fleming is tonight celebrating his freedom after a London magistrate said there was insufficient evidence to link him with the multi-million-pound Brinksmat gold bullion robbery. His wife, freed on a similar charge, says she was always convinced of his innocence. South African security forces have sealed off the huge crossroads area near Cape Town, home to tens of thousands of blacks. Police and soldiers have been conducting house-to-house searches in the sprawling settlement. From Johannesburg, Nigel Wrench.
Some 800 police and soldiers were involved. Everyone was kept out of the shanty settlement, including reporters and representatives of civil rights groups. Authorities said it was a crime cleanup. 110 people were held. But it seemed clear there was a political element, since in one area of Crossroads there was a hand grenade attack on a police patrol earlier this week in which 7 policemen were hurt. The area is tense this evening. Nigel Wrench, IRN, Johannesburg.
4 Chinese waiters who attacked diners during a row over spare ribs and crispy duck have each been jailed for 2 years. Southwark Crown Court in London heard that the terrified party had been clubbed like seals at the Soho restaurant when they got up to leave because the food was not available. The court was told that the group were battered with baseball bats, sticks and clubs, and that chair legs were even broken off and used as weapons. Hollywood star Fred Astaire, who died on Tuesday, aged 88, has been buried in a quiet family ceremony. The dancer was buried alongside his sister Adele and his first wife in a Los Angeles cemetery. Independent Radio News.
Hi, Mike Tunstall here with news of a great talent competition which could see you flying off to Nashville, the home of country music. Yes, Red Rose Radio, in association with Frontierland, Morecambe's Wild West theme park, are looking for the best country and western act in the county. The prize is a trip for 2 to Nashville, Tennessee, courtesy of Trans-America Holidays and National Travel World. Plus, 2 days recording at Avenue Parade Recording Studios of Accrington for broadcast on My Country Choice programme, and the opportunity for regular work at Frontierland. Heats are on Sunday afternoons in July and August at the Frontierland in Morecambe. Each heat winner walks away with £50 and goes through to the grand final. So let's be hearing from all you aspiring country and western stars. Send details and a demo if possible to me, Mike Tunstall, Red Rose Radio, P.O. Box 301, St Paul's Square in Preston. Do it now and you could be on your way to Nashville.
Set course for Campbell's, the #1 caravan dealer.
There's something to suit everyone in the Avondale range of caravans available at Campbell's Showground. From the budget-priced Pearl up through the sporty Leader and onto the high-fashion Mayfair and luxurious Avondale models. There's a caravan for you and your family at a price you'll find hard to beat. If quality's top of your list, take a trip to Campbell's Caravans at Lostock Hall, Preston, and start enjoying caravan freedom.
Set course for Campbell's, the #1 caravan dealer. It's flash, it's cool, it's wild, it's free. It's a hit, it's a Coke is it. It's heading downtown, it's Saturday night, it's hanging around, it's doing it right. It's just how you feel when you know it's for real. It's a kick, it's a kick, it's a hit, it's a hit, it's a Coke, yeah, Coca-Cola is it.
Ring him if you dare.
Allan Beswick, the late night show.
It's exactly 5 minutes past 11. If you wish to join us on the phone in, the telephone number is Preston 56 1000. Out of Gary. Goodbye, Gary.
Gary.
Yeah. Hello, Gary. Hello, Adrian.
All right, Alan.
Yes.
I'd like to talk about driving licences, please.
Go on.
If you could help me. I want to add Group D onto my driving licence. And
Why?
on the form, it tells
Why?
me nothing about it.
Why?
Because I want a motorbike, you see.
You want a motorbike?
Well, I've got one, but I can't use it because...
Do you have a full driving licence already?
Not a full, I'm on a provisional for a car.
I see. Well, you will have to write off and get a provisional for a motorcycle, won't you?
Yeah, but he doesn't tell you what to do or anything.
I see. Well, write and ask them.
Well, the civil service aren't very friendly.
Neither am I. How do... Sean.
Alright, Alan.
Yes?
Well, how come on a Sunday I can't hire a video from one shop, but another one I go to, I can get one?
I have no idea.
Well, I mean, like, one shop I go to, he won't let me have them, but another will. You know, like another who is just a video shop, he'll let me hire them.
Well, why don't you go to the shop that lets you hire them? It seems more productive than going to the one that won't. How do Margaret?
Hello?
Yes?
I've got a really big problem. I'm a hairdresser, and the other day a lady came in wanting a perm with long bleached hair. And I said to her, well, I'm sure that your hair's not natural, it's bleached, so you're taking a bit of a risk because, you know, after perm there are effects and you can have complications. So I advised her not to have the perm, but she insisted and she said that her hair was natural and just to go ahead with it. So anyway, I've permed her hair and it went sort of like a light green. And she's now saying that I'm responsible for what happened. And she's wanting to sue the shop, but I said, well, you did it at your own risk, but it's just her word against mine, and I'm sort of going to lose my job because of this, and I don't think it's very fair. What can I do?
Very little. All you can do is say, weren't me, pal. How long have you worked at the shop?
6 months, so it's not very long. So
You don't have any protection at all. All I can say is you simply insist to the shop that you did warn her of the potential consequences. If you've only been there 6 months, are you a qualified hairdresser or are you just training?
No, I'm a qualified hairdresser now.
That's all I need to know. Well, were you when you made the statement to this woman?
Well, I was... Yes, I was.
You weren't.
I'm employed by the shop, but I don't own
No, I want to know whether you're a qualified hairdresser.
Yes,
that's all.
I am.
You are. That's the question. Right. So there was no need for you to consult somebody else. You have the expertise to answer the woman's question and to put her mind at rest.
Definitely.
Well,
yes.
that's an issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to ask. So, you, in your wisdom, told the woman.
Yes.
Would it not have been a good idea, do you think, to go to the proprietor of the shop and say, look, this woman wants me to do this, but it's going to make a mess of her hair, or it might make a mess of her hair. You don't think it would have been a good idea?
No, not at all, because, I mean, we charged £35 to do a perm. And
it doesn't matter what we charged. Would it not have been, on reflection... Let's just examine it for the moment. Would it not have been sensible, on reflection, to go and say to the proprietor, this woman wants me to do this, but I don't think it's a good idea? What would the proprietor have said if you'd have done that?
Well, she'd have probably said, silly old bag, get the 35 quid out of her.
Quite. So what you've got to argue is that it wasn't your fault that her hair went funny. You did give her the warning. Had you gone to your boss would have said the same thing. Unfortunately, if your boss gets sued and decides to sack you, there's probably nothing you can do about it.
Oh, well, thanks a lot then.
Sorry. How do Margaret... No, it's Ian, sorry, that was Margaret. How do Ian?
Hunger maddened beasts will make the streams tremble. Most of the long will be under hister. In a cage of iron, the great one will be dragged.
Thank you very much. Get another book before you read it to me. How do Stephen?
Hello?
Yes?
Hello? Alan?
What do you want?
I'd like to talk about the miners' strike for me.
It's over.
Hey?
It's over.
Yep, I'd like to say,
You'd like to say what?
Everyone was against the miners going on strike.
Not everybody.
Well, a lot of people were, weren't they?
Some were.
Well, somewhere. Well, I'd like to have your opinion on the strike, please.
My opinion on the strike is it's over. How do Stan?
Hello.
Yes.
I've got a serious gripe about old age pensions.
Go on.
If you have an occupational pension which is over the stipulated amount that you can earn, say £75 and 9 a week, and you don't earn it, of course, it's an occupational pension or it's from income, the state will pay you your pension. But if you have to earn that money to make up, then they won't pay your pension. Now, I don't think that's fair because there are sexual discriminations, racial discriminations, and now we've got a financial discrimination.
I'm afraid we'll always have financial discrimination.
No, not in this instance.
We will always have financial discrimination.
Everybody pays contributions.
Excuse me. We cannot eliminate financial discrimination.
You can this one.
No, you can't.
Yeah, because
Why?
everybody pays national insurance contributions.
Yes.
And I paid mine, and the person.
Now, when they pay their national insurance contributions, they are paying for a number of things. One of which is a retirement pension for when they no longer work.
Yes.
Well, if you carry on working, you're not retired. Why should you get any pension at all?
Well, because you have worked that length of time, you've paid your money in, and you get your occupational pension if you work.
Let me put to you another pension situation.
Yes.
Do you have a motor car?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
When you pay your premium every week, or every month, or every year, or however you choose to pay it,
yes,
you presumably are paying so that the insurance company will indemnify you against any claims from third parties, or indeed any consequences, financial consequences, of your vehicle.
True.
Do they, if you do not in any way crash your vehicle, give you any money?
Yes, in the way of a bonus.
No, they don't give you any money. They reduce the money they take from you, but they not give you any money, do they?
No, not.
They do not give you any money, do
true.
they?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. But you.
Do you know? Excuse me.
Yeah.
Do you know why they do not give you any money?
Because of administration purposes, I suppose.
No, that's not the reason they don't give you any money. The reason they don't give you any money is because you have purchased from them a scheme whereby, if a certain set of circumstances come into being, they will give you the cost of those circumstances. In other words, if you crash the car, they will pay to get it repaired or replaced.
Yeah.
When you pay national insurance contributions, you pay in the hope that you will get some compensation in a given set of circumstances. One of those circumstances is, should you become unemployed, you will receive for a period of time unemployment benefit.
Yes.
Another one is, should you break your leg, you will get treatment in hospital free of charge.
Yes.
Another one is, should you retire from work, you will receive a pension.
Yes.
But if you continue to work and earn money,
yes,
then you will not receive the whole pension if the earnings exceed a certain amount. However, should you choose not to work and thereby assist the government in that, they can then let your job to somebody else. If you do not work, they will give you the whole of the pension, no matter what unearned income you have from elsewhere. That's the deal. That's what you pay when you pay your premiums.
And that goes by the board when you're 70?
It does go by the board when you're 70, because the government seems to have the view that if you're 70 years of age, you deserve the pension whatever work you're doing.
Yeah.
That's the scheme. You pay the premiums, you take what comes.
Yeah.
All right?
Fair enough. Thank you very much.
You have been Beswicked.
But don't worry, it sometimes happens to the nicest people.
Psst. Classified information. Sell in the Red Rose Advertiser classified pages. Call in at Red Rose Radio or ring Preston 20
100 great albums and cassettes have been reduced to only $3.49 at your local HMV store. You'll find everything from Fleetwood Mac's Rumours and Echo and the Bunnymen's Ocean Rain to The Cure's Boys Don't Cry. So go and get the best sounds around now for only $3.49 at HMV Victoria Street, Blackpool and Marketplace, Preston. HMV, the world's best music stores.
If you fancy a winner at Haydock Park, here's a tip you can rely on. Put your money on a Volkswagen from Rigby Turner. They'll offer you a generous part exchange allowance on your current car and always have a wide choice of new and used Volkswagens in stock. For a list of runners and their starting prices, call Rigby Turner on St Helens 26126. That's 26126. Or visit the showrooms right by the junction of the M6 and the East Lancs Road. With your money on a Volkswagen from Rigby Turner of Haydock, you're on of a certain winner.
I'll do Michael.
I'll do Alan. Now, I want to talk about cats. And I reckon cats are less intelligent than dogs are. But what it is, how many dogs have you seen run over on the road? Because you see much more cats run over on the road than you do see dogs. So that proves...
I disagree.
Well, I don't. Because
fine.
I saw two tonight.
Well, that's hardly a lifelong survey.
No, but cats walk out in the middle of the road and they see a car come and think, tell you what, I'll stay and get run over. But dogs, when they see them, they run.
Well, if they get run over, how do you know what they were thinking immediately before?
Couldn't see them.
You can see what they're thinking?
I can, yeah.
All I can say to that is you're cleverer than both dogs and cats. Obviously. But I doubt it. How do, Peter?
All right.
Yes.
a bit of a funny one, this. I want to talk about ration books.
Then do so.
About 2 months ago, this woman, who's well known to me, she's a middle-aged lady, civil servant, and she's dead steady, you know, there's no reason why she'd put me on, told me that she'd received through the post in her personal mail a brown manila envelope, and in the envelope was a United Kingdom food ration book for 1988. She was like a bit perturbed about this. When she went into work, she told her boss about it. Within half an hour, the special branch were there, whipped her off into the side room and talked to her for about an hour, trying to find out who sent it to her. And she was like, she was genuine, she didn't know who sent it to her. And in the end, they just took the book off her and, you know, sort of reminded her of her position under the Official Secrets Act and basically told her to keep her gob shut.
Which she then proceeded not to do.
Well, yeah, you know.
And she'd probably be arrested tomorrow, thanks to you. However, what's your complaint?
No.
What's your complaint?
It's not a complaint. It's,
what is it that disturbs you?
That's 2 months ago.
Yes, what is it that disturbs you?
I said nothing more about
What is it that disturbs you? I won't ask you again.
Well, I think that if there are food ration books for 1988 kicking round, then, you know, there's something going on that, you know, well, there's a possibility that there's something going on. But
if there was a war tomorrow,
yeah,
do you think the government would be able to cope? For a start, they'd fairly quickly have to ration food, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Would they just suddenly decide, OK, everybody, stop making guns, bullets and bombs, we want you this week to make ration books? Or do you think the government has an obligation to itself and to its people to actually be prepared for all eventualities?
Yeah, so, okay, I mean...
So all they're doing is preparing for all eventualities. What's wrong with that? Let me tell you, in stock around this country, there are all kinds of things ready and waiting. Do you remember the firemen's strike not very long ago, about 6-7 years ago?
Yeah, I did.
You remember that?
I did.
Suddenly there were green fire engines enough for the country.
Yeah.
What do you think the government had those for? Do you think they just like them? Do you think you're some collector somewhere? Pardon? Indeed, they have them ready for emergencies, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, they have ration books as well. The reason the special branch were involved was because she's a civil servant and therefore she reported it to a government officer. That government officer said, hey, oh, there's been a leak. And indeed there has, because those ration books should not be on the streets.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well...
Are you suggesting that the government should not have them?
There is a little bit more because...
Well, you need to tell it to me then.
Right?
You'll need to tell it to me then.
Well, yeah. I said nothing about this at the time because, I mean, you know...
Tell me the little bit more. I don't want your history.
Fair enough. 2 days ago, I was walking through the town and I met this guy who I know who's...
Just tell me what happened. I really have not got all night.
All right. This guy's a trade union regional secretary and I had a word...
Fine. Tell me what you want to know.
And I mentioned this, I told him what I've just told you, having kept stum about it up until then.
You told him, go on.
And he said that you are not the first person who's told me this story. He said, over the last 6 months, he said, I've had about 30 people have told me the same thing.
So?
So, there is somebody putting out these ration books.
Someone somewhere has got themselves a batch of ration books and they're sending them out to various individuals to cause a bit of trouble. Fine, happens all the time.
You reckon that's what that's all it is?
That is what I suggest it is. I very much doubt that we'll be rationing food next year. Yeah. We'll just be stopping people who can't afford to buy it getting it, which is our government's policy, I think. How do Durham? Oh, no, that's where he is. What's his name? Marcus. How do Marcus?
Yeah, good evening, Alan. Yeah,
Good evening.
I'd like to talk about the North-South divide, if I could.
You may.
Well, I'd just like to think that, I'd like to say, actually, that the people in the North have got their priorities wrong. People who haven't got much cash, instead of spending their money on clothing their family, giving them decent grub and what have you, what do? They down the bookies, down the boozer, have 5 pints a night, go on the bookies.
Marcus.
Yeah.
You're a prat.
Why?
Substantiate your point.
I've experienced this. I mean,
substantiate your point.
Well, I've been round the clubs in Newcastle.
Let me stop you a second. What was the entertainment industry's turnover in the north of England last year?
I would think it was quite large.
I asked you what it was. Do you know?
I don't know.
You don't know. What was the food industry's turnover in the north of England last year?
Well, for pies and chips, I would have thought it'd be quite high.
I asked you what the food industry's turnover was.
Well,
if you
look at
don't, I'm sorry, Marcus. If you've come on here to make disparaging remarks based on your tuppenny-halfpenny opinion, then I'm sorry. All you are is a jerk. How do, Joseph?
Hello, Alan. I'm listening to you through my left ear because the other one's full of wax, but I find it very difficult to manage on social security. So I've got a couple of tips for anyone who's listening on how to save on groceries. When you go to the supermarket, you get all your groceries and you take them to the checkout. And to save on gas or paying for bulky carrier bags and anything like that, eat your groceries at the checkout, and it does save this. And it also prevents your arms from stretching when you're carrying the stuff home as well.
Of course, if you're on supplementary benefit, you can't afford enough groceries to stretch your arms as you carry them home. How do David?
Alan, I quoted a Nostradamus theory and you...
Thank you very much. How do Mike?
Hello, Alan.
Yes.
I've heard that somewhere there's a centre for addicts to tea. Do you know about this, Alan?
No.
Well, I've heard that if you're addicted to tea, that some people are addicted to beer. And, well, I know someone who just can't stop drinking out of his thermos.
I see. Well, I suggest you take away his thermos.
So there we were, browsing through the swimsuits when this gorgeous hunk came up to us.
He didn't.
He did. He said, you look like the sort of girl who's just booked her holiday with National Travel World's late booking desk, saved a fortune and got herself a microwave for only £79. So I thought to myself...
You didn't.
I did. I thought, how did he know? Turns out he's only a plumber from Preston and was in the queue behind me at National Travel World. But he took advantage of 10% discount on any item over £100 at Central.
He didn't.
He did.
If you want a last-minute bargain holiday plus a microwave for only £79, book before the 30th of June at National Travel World's late booking desk.
Presenting, in the worst possible taste, a present for your most loathed companion. Watch them squirm with agony and cringe with anguish. Beswick's Big Blue Cassette. Cheques or postal orders for £3.99, payable to Red Rose Productions, and available now from Red Rose Radio Reception. Beswick's Big Blue Cassette. Listen at your own peril.
When you think about cars, it pays to think of John Wilding.
Whether you're planning to buy a new Ford, Lada or Citroen, John Wilding now has all the latest models of all three of these makes in stock and waiting for you to test drive. Alternatively, if you're looking at fully guaranteed used, you won't find a better choice than at John Wilding's two fabulous showrooms on the A6 at Garstang for Ford and at Westgate Morecambe for Lada and Citroen.
When you think about cars, it pays to think of John Wilding. John Wilding!
Bill Kenyon here, chairman of Wigan Athletic FC, with news of some fantastic season ticket discounts if you buy yours before the end of June. We're offering stand tickets from £58.50 for adults and £55 for juniors and OAPs, along with ground season tickets for just £38 for adults and £25 for juniors and OAPs. There are also huge savings in the family enclosure, and membership to the Vice President's Lounge and the exclusive Latix 100 Club are now available. Make sure of your Wigan Athletic season ticket now. Just call in to the commercial office at Springfield Park or call Wigan 44433. A deposit paid before July the 1st will secure the reduced rates.
How do, Andrew?
Alright, Alan. I'd like to talk about Freemasonry, but I don't know a thing about it.
Good night then. How do, John? Oops, he's gone. How do, Leslie?
Hello, I'd like to speak about the cricket, and especially Lancashire. In the 3-day matches, Lancashire do brilliantly, but in the one day against Kent especially, Lancashire were absolutely disgusting. What do you think?
Didn't watch it.
Oh, didn't you? What do you think of Neil Fairbrother batting for England then?
Didn't think he was.
Oh, well, he was, and he did pretty badly. He was out for a duck. Yeah, 20 plays for Lancashire.
Well,
he normally gets over 100.
He didn't actually bat for England then, did he, really?
No, he didn't.
He was out for a duck.
Yeah.
So I can't think much about it, can I?
No, well, who do you support in cricket then?
England.
England, that's nice and patriotic.
No, it's just...
Common sense.
They're the only ones I know. It's a bit pointless supporting the West Indies. I don't get to see them much. I'm frequently not in Barbados.
Much cricket?
I watch a fair bit, but very little of it in Barbados.
Well, I've never been to Barbados.
That makes two of us, so there really wouldn't be much point in supporting the West Indies, would there?
No.
Supporting India? Well, I don't go there often either. So I think, where do I go a lot? Well, I tend to go England a lot, so I support England. Seems like a good idea to me.
Well, so do I, 'cause I live there.
Oh, good. You live in England as well? Well,
Yeah.
isn't that a surprise? Oops, he's gone. How do Sean? No, Chris. How do Chris?
How do? Well, I'll talk about apartheid
Go
in
on.
cricket.
In cricket?
Yes.
Go on.
About the policy of the West Indies trying to stop our players playing in test matches because they've been to South
Well,
Africa.
just a sec now. We've got a minor problem here because the West Indian cricket authorities have made no such attempt.
Well,
No such attempt at all.
someone in the West Indies has.
But you said you wanted to talk about cricket. Now, in the West Indies, the governments of all those different islands, well, not all the islands, but some of the islands have said that they will not allow players to play on their island, and let's face it, it's their country, it will not allow players to play on their island if they have played cricket in South Africa.
No, the point I'm making
Let us hear your point.
is the World Cup.
Go
They
on.
are trying to boycott our players in the World Cup,
Which World Cup?
Cricket World Cup,
Where?
in India and Pakistan,
Go on.
because some of our players have either coached or played in South Africa.
They are objecting to it, yes.
Yes, they are objecting
But
to
they're
it.
not actually attempting to boycott it.
Well,
or
they
get
are at the
at- no,
ICC meeting.
Sorry?
They are at the ICC meeting.
They have put their point of view at the ICC meeting, but first of all we have to establish whether the ICC meeting agree with their point of view. There is no suggestion that should the ICC meeting reject their proposition that the West Indies will pull out.
Well, I don't think it's a case of the West Indies pulling out. I think it's a case of whether England should pull out.
Why should they?
Why?
I asked you first.
Yes, you did. Well, the West Indies, they come over here and they play in the same teams and play against South Africa.
Well, first of all, that is individual players that make that decision.
Yes.
Now, can you just tell me why England should pull out of the World Cup series in India, assuming it ever gets going, because there's some doubt?
Well, if they are saying that individual players who play for England are not allowed to go to that country and play.
But you see, they're not saying that.
Well, that's what. Yes, they
No,
are.
that is what they are asking the ICC to decide.
Yes,
Well,
I
the
agree with that.
the ICC has not yet decided that.
Well, no.
Well, if England decides now to boycott, they may well be boycotting for absolutely no sensible reason at all.
Well, why should their players be allowed to come?
Well, just a minute. Do you believe that the International Cricket Committee is a forum at which various different ideas should be debated?
Yes.
Do you believe that all the members of the ICC should have the right to express their view at the ICC?
I do. Yes.
And then what is wrong with them doing that?
Well, they can express their own opinions.
That is all they are doing.
Yes.
And one of the reasons for expressing their opinions is to attempt to persuade others to that opinion. What is wrong with that?
Well, nothing. Nothing wrong with that.
What are you complaining about then? That is exactly the status quo at present.
I am not complaining. I'm trying to debate about why should other countries decide where our players should coach.
There is a very simple answer to that.
Yes.
Very simple answer. First of all, the ICC is the international ruling body for cricket, correct?
Yes.
Correct. The forum of the ICC is the place where teams make the rules of competitions, not the rules of cricket. They're done by the ICCL, are they not?
They are, yes.
Right. So, they sit down and they decide the rules of the World Cup competition. Now, if the majority of participating countries, if you prefer, decide that they want a ban on apartheid players, we'll call them, yes?
No, I'm saying not apartheid players.
Well, it was just a term of reference. You know what I meant.
Yes, I do.
If you want to be specific, it'll just take longer to converse with you.
Yeah.
But the International Cricket Committee has the right to make the decision of the rules of the competition. And if they say the rules are that we will not allow any players that have played in South Africa, then those are the rules, and England can choose to obey them, disobey them, or leave the series. That is their privilege. But surely that is the place where it should be discussed.
Yes, it's a place where it should be discussed.
Well, I don't see what your problem is, because that's what's happening.
No. Well,
that is what's happening.
Well, that is what's happening. But why should players, people from other countries, say where our players are allowed to coach?
Because they're not saying where they're allowed to coach. They're
Yes,
not.
well,
They are not saying that. They are saying if you want to take part in this competition, you will obey the rules of this competition. Correct?
Correct.
Correct. And now what they're trying to do is make some rules. Now, if they make those rules, they've got the damn well right to. If our team, our authorities, don't like those rules, then they can get out the flaming competition. But if you play in the kitchen, you have to be prepared to use all the equipment that everybody else uses. Say our players suddenly decided that they would use aluminium bats and green clothing. Do you think that West Indian players should be able to forbid us from this?
No, because
Say we decided that we'd have 15 players in a team. Do you think the West Indian players should forbid us from this?
Well, no, because there's only 11 players in a team.
I've just asked you a question. If England suddenly decided, well, we're not doing so well, let's have another 4 players. And the West Indians say, hey, you're not doing that, we're not playing against you. Why not? You've got no right to tell us how we're going to play this game. Of course they've got a right. We're all in the game together. We're all playing to the same rules. So they can also make rules collectively on a majority basis, like democracies, which I'm sure you'd like to see in South Africa as well, but we've got one in cricket. So like democracies, we make a decision on a majority basis. 15 countries in the series, I don't know how many there are, there's about 6, but 15 countries in the series, 14 countries want this set of rules, and England says, hey, we don't like the look of that, they're telling our players where they can play and where they can coach. I'm sorry, if you want to play the rules, you want to play the game, and you want to play it with everybody else, then you've got to go with the majority. And the majority and the minority have the right to express their view. If you don't like it, don't play.
Well, that's not the majority, is it?
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
Well, no.
We won't find out whether it's the bloody majority until we get the chance to debate it, will we, Pratt? How do? Kevin.
Hello, Alan. Yes. The other night, and on a few other occasions, you've taken the mickey out of independent radio news. Well, Red Rose's news isn't exactly comprehensive, is it? And, I mean, people getting the bike nicked and things like that is what I've heard.
We only have a very tiny amount of time, because we're stuck with this independent radio news crap. We only have a tiny amount of time in which to cover the news. And sometimes we cover stories that are of local interest. I don't actually think 30 seconds on the weather on a 3-minute international news programme makes sense. We've only got Lancashire to gather our news. They've got the whole pigging world.
Well, you seem
And
to
they can't
donate
fill
enough
3
time
minutes.
with the window on the weather thing.
We get paid for that.
Yeah, well...
We get paid for it. It's a sponsored thing. We do that because we get paid for it. IRN don't get paid for cluttering up a 3-minute news. It was actually 37 seconds spent on the weather in a 3-minute news.
Well, I've spoken to the chairman of IRN and LBC, and...
I don't care who you've spoken to.
Well, he told me the...
What's his name?
I can't think of hand. They've changed
Strange,
it.
isn't it?
They've changed it
they've
about 3 times.
When you say the chairman, who do you mean?
The chairman...
Well, tell me who you mean by the chairman. You see, the chairman of the news doesn't exist.
Well, the chairman of IRN...
The chairman of Independent Radio News?
No, the chairman of LBC.
The chairman of LBC, fine. What's the point of asking the chairman? That's like asking Owen Oyston about our news. He wouldn't know what day it was.
Well, he knew all about it.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, he was a very strange fellow. Let me tell you, he didn't. And even if he did, he's got no right to open his gob. He should have asked the editor. Get off and shut up. How do, Erica?
Hello, Alan. I'm ringing from Rochdale.
Well, we don't care. What do you want?
Well, I want to ask you about disablement. I'm thinking of putting in for an orange badge for my mum.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how I stand about getting one, because I don't actually live with her.
Well, the easy way is to get in touch with the social services. The rules vary slightly, only slightly, around the country. But generally the rule is that if you use your motor vehicle frequently for a disabled person, you are entitled to the orange badge scheme.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you're entitled to use it when you're not conveying the disabled person, but when you are, you're entitled to use it.
Yeah. Can you tell me, do I actually have to live with her?
No, you don't.
No.
No, you don't.
Can you also explain to me why do people cut themselves off when they know someone's dying?
Why do they do what?
Why do they cut themselves off when they know someone is dying?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, my mum happens to be dying, of cancer.
Go on.
And so many people who she used to know have just suddenly cut themselves off completely.
There's a simple answer to that, and it's fear.
Yeah. Is there any way around it?
Not really. It's no individual way, but it's just a matter of fear. They don't know what to say.
Well,
they don't know how to communicate with someone that's dying.
Well, they
It's
don't
very
really have to
difficult.
say anything though, do they?
No, you're dealing with reality. I'm dealing with their imaginations, and it's their imaginations that control their actions, not your reality.
Yeah, but I mean, if they consider somebody such a friend, why cut themselves off? Why
Because
can't
they're
they go?
afraid. You obviously don't have the ability to put yourself in other people's position. Let me tell you, people who come in contact with those who are dying do not know how to deal with it. That is why we have in our country things called hospices,
Yeah.
which teaches people and their relatives how to deal with bereavement and ensuing bereavement.
Yeah.
We don't know in this country. We don't know. We have this stiff upper lip, nothing to do with me attitude. That is our heritage. It's a bad heritage, but we've got it.
Yeah. Is there anyone I can get in touch with about it?
I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
Offhand, I can't think of such an organisation other than a hospice, but of course they have enough on their plate without getting involved in individuals that are not immediately in their care.
Yeah.
But what I suggest you do is call your Citizens Advice Bureau and ask them. They'll know of an organisation that's able to help you in your area. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
I wish you luck. How do Simon?
Hello, Alan. I'm 17 and a half, nearly 18. What I'd like to know is, would I still be able to go away?
If you're 17 and a half, you are just as nearly 17 as you are nearly 18.
Well, yeah, 17 and a half. Well, what I wanted to know was, would I still be able to go on the YTS, or would I have to go on an alternative scheme?
I don't know.
Don't know.
That's true. How do Marcus?
Hello all, I'd like to sing a song.
Would you?
It's fart, it's wrong.
How do Paul?
Hello, Alan. I've got a bit of a problem. My wife was having a baby, and when I went to see it, it was black. And she denies it, that she's had an affair with a black man. She said it must be hereditary or something.
That is possible.
I just can't believe it.
Well, it is possible. I will tell you that when I was a young man, I won't name the family, but they lived in the Orford area of Warrington, and that was two white parents with a black child. Absolutely nothing wrong. It happens. If you don't trust your wife, then that's your problem.
Yeah, but I just can't cope with the fact that I've got a black baby.
Well, you should be able to. It's just a human being.
I can't believe it.
Well, in that case, you're inadequate as a human
Oh,
being.
come on, Alan, how would you feel?
I would feel no different.
Hello, campers. Heading for the great outdoors? Stop first at the great indoors, the Blackburn Camping Centre. No one has a range quite like it for the family camper. Frame tents, caravan awnings and ridge tents at bargain prices. Ex-hire frame tents and second-hand awnings at a fraction of the original price, and all the accessories you'll need. You won't find a better selection or lower prices for miles. So find the Blackburn Camping Centre, King Street, Blackburn. Phone 661 650.
Before you get to the great outdoors, step to the Blackburn Camping Centre.
A street, a sound is the start of the day. It's the heat of the road, it's breaking away. A kiss, a glance, it is hot, it is cool. A smile, a chance, it is breaking a rule. It's just how you feel when you know it's for real. It's a hit, it's a Coca-Cola, is it? If the roof caves in or you need a new bin, get yourself down to Fairwood. Need a new front door or tiles on the floor, get yourself down to Fairwood. If the front gate squeaks or the radiator leaks or the house needs a lick of paint, then nail it, screw it, you know you can do it yourself with Fairwood. Need a tin of grout or a new downspout, do it yourself with Fairwood. Patio flags and cement in bags, do it yourself with Fairwood. Keep the weather out, insulate the house, you can save yourself a mint. Just nail it, screw it, you know you can do it yourself with Fairwood.
At Cemetery Road Southport, Higgins Lane Burscough, and now at Market Woods, Wigan Road, West Horton.
This year's Red Rose Radio Proms with the Royal Liverpool Philharmonic Orchestra will be on July the 7th, 8th and 11th. These 3 evenings of fine music comprise the Ron Goodwin Spectacular, a Viennese night, and of course the traditional rousing last night of the Proms. Single and series tickets are now available from the Preston Guildhall booking office, or call 58858 for further details. That's 58858. July the 7th, 8th and 11th for the 1987 Red Rose Radio Preston Proms.
And I shall be there, as I've said before, in me tuxedo. It's worth coming just to see that. 20 minutes to midnight.
Win £50, £20, £15 each week at the Newmarket and M2 Market, Waterloo Road, Blackpool.
I'll do Lee. Lee's gone. I'll do Mark.
I'm here. What do you reckon about monopolies, Mr. Beswick?
I think Waddington's made a fortune out of it.
Well, I don't reckon done so bad at all. How's about all these free advertisements that you're doing in these papers?
When you say advertisements...
Now, hang on a minute. Before we go any further, you got a newspaper, yeah? Or have you got a radio station?
Both.
Well, make your mind up.
I've just made my mind up. We've got
right,
both.
Okay then. But you're out of order.
Well, explain why.
Okay.
Explain why.
Well, I'll tell you something. The IBA's not very happy with you.
Well, the IBA approved it. You silly swine. I'll do Steve.
Hello, Alan. Can I talk about witchcraft, please?
If you must.
Well, I think it's wrong that people should think that witchcraft is evil and devil worship and things like that.
That it?
No.
Go on, then.
Because I'd just like to explain witchcraft as a religion.
Then do so.
Right. Witchcraft, right, is a term from the Anglo-Saxon word wickercraft, and that means craft of the wise. Right, and these people knew knowledge of nature, herbology, and things like that, healing and medicine, stuff like that, and the ability to contact the deity, which is the mother goddess, Diana. So the Wicca isn't an evil force at all.
You've hardly made it sound interesting.
The Wicca is not an evil force.
You've hardly made
at all.
it sound interesting. Are you going to convince us?
Yeah,
or
it
are you
gets
just
more interesting as I go on, you see.
Well, you've got 30 seconds to get more interesting.
Right, doing a bit of interesting stuff.
You've just wasted 10 of your 30 seconds.
Well, do you believe in reincarnation? And
No.
What?
No.
No, I said they do, not
I
you
see.
to you.
Go on.
And they know the knowledge and working of magic, and this is not evil magic at all. They do not worship Satan. And what do you think about it anyway?
I think you haven't told me anything yet that I didn't already have available to me. I thought you were going to make it interesting.
And the word devil...
Yeah, I thought you were going to make it interesting.
I am now.
But your 30 seconds are up.